643, Alabama's Morning News. I'm JT. Joining us now, the Chief of Staff and Young Americans for Liberty, Sean Themea, is back. Hey, Sean, good morning.
Hey, JT, great to be here.
Well, I got to tell you, if you could just sit in on a DNC meeting these days, I would imagine it's not real comfortable. And there's got to be people in there just going, oh, my God, what are we going to do? What are we doing? This is a disaster. This president, I mean, the policies are everybody in America except the 30% that kind of like him no matter what and will always vote blue. You can put a squirrel in the race and they'd still vote for the squirrel if it's a Democratic squirrel. But other than that, the majority of people right now, I mean, seriously, even Democrats have got buyer's remorse. As we get closer and closer to the midterm elections, it's obvious, I would think, we're going to get the House. But the Senate, it's going to be a little bit of a tighter situation. So your thoughts on what's happening with the Democratic Party, just basically folding right before our very eyes right now.
Yeah, if I was lucky enough to be present at a DNC meeting, I would bring some s'mores because everyone's hair would be on fire, so I'd have something to roast them on. It's ridiculous. I mean, when I talk to college students, with Young Americans for Liberty, it's so interesting what we hear uniting, right, the disaffected conservatives on campus and these far-left progressives is that everybody doesn't want Joe Biden to be president after 2024, if not now. I mean, young people are constantly tuned in to the internet where they can see his most embarrassing moments, so there's no more hiding, and they're even paying attention to how the policies are affecting them, right? I mean, with this rampant inflation, gas prices through the roof, the Democrats aren't even hiding. They're planning to keep gas more expensive, talking about, sacrificing for Ukraine, and young people aren't buying it. So, they're going to turn out at the polls. They're going to vote overwhelmingly against Democrats, one of the first times in a long time, and I think that's a good thing.
There's so many policies that are just disastrous. If Biden would have come in and not picked up that executive order pen so fast to just redo and cancel everything that Trump's name was tied to, if he would have adopted some of the policies at the border, even if he wanted to slowly change some things instead of just pushing it off the cliff, if he would have slowly tried to work our way into an electric situation when it comes to energy and vehicles without pushing the whole idea of the current status of energy and producing oil in our country off the cliff. If he would have been a little bit slower in all this, I don't think it would have garnered all of the attention that it has, where even Democrats in an average presidency, they're going to go, well, it's not too bad. There's nothing drastic going on. But this is, like you said, hair on fire. Drastic things are happening with this country. And the number one issue for everybody, whether you're 21 or 91, your money, the economy, is just a shambles right now. And just the laundry list of other problems with this administration. You could go on and on and on. So I think it's grabbing people's attention in the Democratic voting base that might normally just go, okay, in an average situation, it's not that bad of a thing. I've got other things going on in my life. I'm going to pay attention over here to this. But this is like screaming at people to pay attention to it, this administration.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, maybe in 2020, Biden running on the platform of Trump bad may have helped some of his base, but actually making all of your policy revolve around, Trump bad, so we'll do the opposite, doesn't actually work that well in real life. I mean, talk about insanity. Day one, right, after promising to stand up for workers, he's supposed to be this big labor president, looking out for the good blue-collar workers in Scranton. Day one cancels the Keystone Pipeline. Wasn't even that popular decision at the time, and now we are paying the price literally at the pump for these bonehead moves like this. So, the policies that Democrats are leaning into are either explicitly hurting us in our wallet or are just explicitly insane with all their focus on identity politics and gender ideology. I mean, come on, the American people aren't buying it.
Kind of interesting, too, that the hashtag Don't Run Joe campaign set to launch on November 9th, the day following the midterm elections. So, once we get through the midterms, and I don't think Joe's going to say anything about running again or not running again until that's over, because, as we've talked before, he'd be a lame dunk president. But your thoughts on whether or not he actually does step up and want to run again? So far, he says yes, but wow, foggy, really not competent in the job anymore. People controlling him behind the scenes. Somebody's got to say, I would think, at least his wife, honey, it's enough. Okay, you've done well. You've served for years. It's time. Let's go to the pasture.
Yeah, it's going to be ugly because I think that he wants to run. He thinks he's competent. He thinks he can win again. But his system around him, his handlers, are all starting to realize, oh, maybe this isn't such a good idea. So whether it's the progressive groups running this "Don't Run Joe" campaign from a explicit far left message, or the establishment around him. I mean, you see the New York Times starting to run articles that are anti-Biden. They're going to slowly kind of creep in on him and by one way or another force him out, or at least try their best to, is my prediction.
I think you're right about that, Sean. Thank you so much. Chief of Staff, Young Americans for Liberty, Sean Themea. It's 6:48 now. Alabama's Morning News.